This week on the show, we check in on the DC superhero universe for updates on Batman and Swamp Thing, check out the new insights into the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and get this, Bob Iger's getting paid more. All that, plus this year's Oscar nominations. It's time for Nerdigo News. Bruno, do the thing. Welcome to Nerdigo News. I'm Riley Trahan, freshly in from shoveling the blizzard outside of my house. I'm here to discuss the news, though, as always, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts. First up, it's Deepak Chitnis,
basking in the glow. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all. Basking in the glow of award nomination, I assume.
No, I was just saying I'm basking in the glory of my generous compensation package.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to talk about
and
what
my
your
generous
golden
package
parachute options look like once we inevitably find a replacement for you. And we did want to assure our stockholders we are working on finding a replacement for Deepak as soon as possible. We know we've put out announcements like that so many times in the past, but it's happening. It's coming quickly. Jackson Trahan, here as always, out of order.
Hello, yeah, I'm glad I'm finally moving up in the world.
Producer Bruno on the ones and twos in his great Mario sweatshirt that you can see on our website, nerdigo.com, or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Nerdigo Media Organic. Look, how's it going out in California, buddy? No snow out there.
No, yeah, it's been pretty windy, been pretty chilly, but no snow park, sadly.
In my day job, I have a team that I work with that is nationwide, but several of them are based out of South Florida. And I had a girl who I work with who's on my team who was letting me know it was very cold in Florida this week too. Okay, got all the way down to the 40s at one point. So
Bruno, until you leaned back to show it said 85, I thought it said BS.
We should investigate this because you're doing a lot of our themes in your sweatshirt today, Bruno. You have a Super Mario, you have an 80s retro thing. As Deepak pointed out, all you need is a literal golden parachute straight to your back, and you're like the physical embodiment of this week's show.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to the news, but before we do, we're going to kick off this week by talking about some pop culture recommendations. These are things we've been watching, reading, eating, playing, or listening to that we've enjoyed recently that we think you'll like too. And moving it to the front of the show where we can talk about it more is definitely not just an excuse for me to process the fact that I watched David Cronenberg's Videodrome the other night. Has anybody seen Videodrome? Or am I
Put it on my list?
Okay. So it is a 1983 Cronenberg movie. It is one of the earlier movies in his career. It's very cool. It's pretty low budget. You definitely see a lot of the body horror stuff like coming out like straight out the gate. But what really struck me is that it is basically about a guy who runs a niche cable division that has like a few dozen to a few hundred subscribers, and that he has like carved out a real like specific niche for these folks who want like more extreme stuff, and it's specifically a lot of the film is about violent pornography, because he comes across this thing called the Videodrome that is like a snuff film basically, and he like seeks it out, and it leads him into a world of sort of hallucination and not really knowing what the border between reality and the screen starts and ends, and eventually it leads to him doing some fairly violent and heinous acts because he's been like radicalized by the Videodrome. Anyway, the point is it's fucking about the internet, guys. It's just that like it's on like analog tapes because they made it in 83. But this movie is so about like what happens when your brain just gets like taken over by the internet. I mean, we see this happen all the time. We see guys get Videodromed left, right, and center. Yeah. Right? That's what happens.
Right.
Those wackadoos that shoot people in
Bugonia
public squares all the time. Right, but it was just seeing Cronenberg like outline it in the 80s and be like, yeah, this is a thing that's going to start happening more and more. When he had no idea the internet even existed, it was really startling for me. All right, so yeah, I just needed to get that out of my system. Jackson, what have you been getting up
to? What have I been getting up to? I continue to play more Archipelagos.
Okay. Are they expanding it, or are you just trying out new ones, or are you just like still like chipping away at the Hitman Archipelago?
No, yeah, there are so many that it's a really good way I found to revisit like older games that I used to like a lot and haven't
There,
been
there's an
into in a
event.
while.
There's an event me and Jack almost did today until we realized the requirement of that we had to do it in one sitting.
Yeah, we were planning to do one today, but it would have conflicted with this very podcast, among other things. So we didn't manage it, but I'm sure we'll organize it some other time. I just started doing the Plants vs. Zombies one, which I was really into when that game first came out, actually. And so they have one for the remake, which I like. I don't know. Yeah, I've been in a weird mood. I've been playing a lot of Factorio. I was telling Bruno also.
Yeah, right. You mentioned that this like automated game. Explain to Deepak how your little automated game takes over your life every once in a while.
Oh, I mean, it's just I go back to it like every year or so. I don't know. It's sort of a hard game for me to play a lot of in a row because I think it presents the same. Like once you've found solutions to the sort of challenges it offers, it's hard to get your brain out of that space. But every 6 months or a year or so, once I've forgotten what I did last time, I'll go back and just get obsessed with this game for like 40 or 50 hours. I'm certainly not the only one.
But what is it?
It's like an automation game, so it's about digging up like iron and copper and stone and turning it into a factory to produce more complicated machines to dig up more stuff faster, and it's just a very satisfying like loop.
Isn't that Minecraft?
Well, not exactly, but sort of. It's like more about automation than Minecraft is.
Right.
Yeah, in Factorio, you're like building the factory, and all your little robots and stuff sort of just go out and do the thing for you.
Right, sort of like a management strategy game, right?
Sounds like Jackson is taking away jobs from humans, which I don't really care for. So I don't like this.
I've wondered in the past if Jack would just get a lot of joy out of running a factory. That like how close this game actually is to sort of just being a capitalist, an industrial capitalist. Deepak, you were dipping into some classic films this week. I don't know if that's what you want to make your chief recommendation. I saw you were watching. Was it Big Sleep?
It was just the one. It was just the one. The Big Heat. Big Sleep. I've seen many years. Yeah, Big Heat from Criterion. I got it sometime last year. I finally watched it. It was fine. As far as me catching up on 2025 movies, I saw The Roses, which I did not care for too much. It's okay, one-time watch, whatever. The ones I did like were Mickey 17, Together, The Rip, which is the new Netflix thing with Affleck and Damon, and Warfare, which is pretty good. The one that I really, really liked to the point that it's my number 3 of the year so far for 2025 was Sorry Baby, which is on HBO Max. A24. Eva Victor, I believe is her name. She directed it, wrote it, co-stars or stars in it. It's really, really good. I went into it not knowing anything about it. My wife and I both loved it. And I have it right now, like I said, number 3 of my 2025 rankings behind Dhurandhar and Sinners at number 2. I know that I'm not supposed to be rewatching anything this year, but there has already had to be a carve out for that, which is that if my wife wants to watch something because she wants to catch up on Oscar stuff, then we sit down and watch it. So a few weeks ago, we watched One Battle After Another. Last night, we watched Sinners. She preferred One Battle. I definitely am 100% on the Sinners camp between those two movies. And then she does want to watch Begonia at some point, which we will do. But also on the no rewatches front, I get an urge every now and then because I'm becoming an old man to watch No Country for Old Men, and I was like, I can't do it. So I decided to deep dive into Cormac McCarthy's novels instead. So I have been reading and then rereading Blood Meridian. If no one has read Blood Meridian, read Blood Meridian. It's probably, I haven't read all his stuff. I have The Road, and I, of course, have No Country for Old Men here, but No Country for Old Men is basically just the movie. This is incredible. Definitely read it if you haven't. If you like True Detective, for example, that's kind of not, of course, narratively what it's going for, but in terms of the tonality and the nihilism and things like that, it's sort of in that vein. And it's great. Very violent, though, so just be aware of that.
And Bruno, what have you been passing away the hours with?
Cool. I'll quickly shout out Amazon's The Fallout show that I've been catching up on. It's been just really, really fun time, and it's really great for anyone who's a fan of the games. Especially like if you're a fan of the games and you haven't tried it out yet, this is the week that they finally had a cameo by Ron Perlman, and if you've played the games, you know exactly who that is for most of the franchise. I'm not going to go more into details about who he's playing or anything like that, but it was still like great as always. What I really, really wanted to talk about is sort of like starting the Oscars watch list. Is I watched It Was Just an Accident, which after watching it, I think should have been nominated for more things than what it did, but which we'll get into later. But without going too much into details, it is about a just an auto mechanic who was previously a prisoner of war, and he supposedly recognizes someone as one of his captives. The whole issue is that him and all of his co-captives were blindfolded during the time that they were prisoners, and the story really really plays up on like how that heightened all of your other senses and how all of the other senses can play a very lasting effect on PTSD and memory and everything. So I just think overall it was a really, really, really good story. It reminded me a lot of Begonia, where you're just constantly trying to think, is he or isn't he sort of dilemma. But
and Jafar Panahi, the director, is, he's been imprisoned for making films in Iran, and he based this story on stories that other prisoners told him.
Yeah.
Which is just so insane. It adds like a whole other layer on top of it.
Exactly.
But no, you're right, Bruno. It is like, it's so transfixing.
It did get the international nomination, right? It just didn't get picture and director.
It got the international, and I think it got screenplay as well, original screenplay, which I would very much be happy to see it win if it did get that, but we'll see. One of the strongest endings to a movie I've seen in a while. Just like the whole last 20 minutes was fantastic, start to finish. But yeah, I recommend it for anybody who has yet to see it.
Best last shot in a movie this year.
Wow.
Or in 2025. All right. So there's some stuff you can check out. Now let's get to the news. Looking around at sort of our headline roundup this week, Deepak, you had a story for us about just, what happens when someone's good at their job, I assume.
Yeah, look, I've made no bones about the fact that I think Bob Iger is just incredible at everything he does. He's got the corporate Midas touch where everything he touches is just awesome. And we got news this week that his 2025 compensation rose up to $45.8 million. That is a compensation package comprised of, and this is according to the Hollywood Reporter, a $1 million base salary, $21 million in stock awards, $14 million in option awards, $7.25 million in non-equity incentive pay compensation, and $2.6 million in other compensation, including security. For comparison's sake, the previous year, 2024, his compensation package totaled $41.1 million. So this is a increase of, looks like $4.7 million from 2024 to 2025. What happened with Disney in 2025? I'm trying to think. Did anything good happen? Well, they had 3 Marvel movies: Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four: First Steps. All of which underperformed relative to expectations.
Zootopia, Elio.
Zootopia did well. Elio, I don't think did that well commercially, but it's Pixar, so it got an Oscar nomination, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. They did do a wonderful live-action adaptation of Lilo and Stitch that everyone loved and had 0 controversial changes to the original movie. And I'm a little sympathetic on that one because you're in kind of a no-win situation except with the money on those live-action remakes, because if you do the same thing all over again and it turns out like The Lion King or whatever, people don't like that. And then if you try to change it up a little bit, people also don't like that. But they still make over $1 billion, so what the hell? You might as well just keep throwing shit at the wall, and it all seems to stick anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then on the Star Wars side, you guys might have to help me out on this. I know there was Andor Season 2, which was apparently very good, but it doesn't seem to pull in the numbers that the other Star Wars properties pull in. I know there was behind-the-scenes shuffling again.
Not like Mandalorian and Grogu is gonna.
Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu's gonna save us all, right? There was some behind-the-scenes shuffling on what I think are assuming will be Episode 10. I know that one writer left the project, another writer I think Stephen Knight left, and they hired someone else who I don't even remember who it was right now. But that was pretty much Disney's year in a nutshell. And I know there's more to Disney than the nerd stuff that we cover. I know there's the Disney
Yeah,
Plus
no, they're
streaming numbers,
completely-
and I know there's the theme parks and all the other stuff. They
They're treading
opened, huh?
They're treading water.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what more they can do at this point other than make good stuff, but that seems to be something they're not interested in. So
Ever since Iger came back to replace Chapek, they have had this December 31st, 2026 number out, like isolated as this, like this will be Bob Iger's last day with the company.
yeah,
Like they knew,
and then
they
they're going to
really did
hire
not want
Rob
this-
Liger, is what I heard.
Right. Yeah. They really did not want this to be like a permanent thing. And I feel like this Iger 2.0 era has been defined by this water tread thing, right? Like in 2019, they had, I know we come back to this number all the time and I never have it off the top of my
It's
head. But
six
was
of
it
them.
Five?
Six.
$6 billion movies?
Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, The Lion King, Aladdin,
Avatar.
not Avatar, Rise of Skywalker, and then something animated that year. I don't remember.
But maybe Zootopia or something. But yeah, ever since then, it has sort of been like we have to get back. Like that was the high watermark for shareholder-based capitalism, right? Was
Right, but it was also
no
in the before
entertainment
times.
company had ever accomplished something like that before, and so they've sort of been trying to get back to that, and they've sort of been trying to figure out how can we recreate it in the aggregate. Well, what if we buy an entire additional movie studio? What if we start getting into gambling? What if we start letting people Sora AI our Pixar characters? Like, how many different ways can we start sucking money out of this thing to recreate $6 billion movies in 1 year? And I don't know that they're going to figure out. And I do think that the patience with Mr. Iger is dwindling as that December 31st, 2026 date comes closer and closer, and they have not seemed to recreate any of that success.
So is it really? Are they expecting him to abdicate his position less than 2 weeks after Robert Downey Jr. returns as Doctor Doom, or returns to the Marvel universe? I mean,
I think the plan is to have a replacement announced in the next month or two, and then this whole year will be the wind down.
So that's what the article also gets into. The Succession Planning Committee, and this is a quote from a company statement. The Succession Planning Committee is focused on positioning the new CEO for long-term success at the company by, among other things, surrounding the new CEO with a team of senior executives who can work together to lead the company into the future. Disney chairman James Gorman seems to be the one who is sort of spearheading that search. I'm sure Iger is playing a critical part of that as well. Let's not forget that Chapek was supposedly handpicked by Iger, although I think with the benefit of hindsight, we know that he was kind of doing what Zaslav is doing for Warner Brothers Discovery, which is that he is shepherding them through what they knew was going to be a difficult time with the rise of streaming and the diversification of what their Marvel offerings were, their Star Wars offerings were, to feed the streaming beast. And I think Iger has been able to kind of cherry pick, like, oh yeah, that was a good decision, but I don't want to own that one. That was on Chapek. That was him. So we'll see. I mean, Riley, you're more into the Disney.
Do you want
muck.
candidates?
Yeah, that's what I'd love to know who your leaders in the clubhouse are, and I don't know. I don't know if
I can
Jack
give you-
knows any of like
Riley
the Poly
wheels out
Market
a,
stuff.
like PowerPoint presentation.
Well, Jack. To that end, is there anything on like the Poly Market or any of the
I
gambling
can go
sites as
check.
far as like
I don't know, but yeah, let me look
like
at
is
it.
Condoleezza Rice the leader to be the new Disney CEO or something? Because she's a
Yeah. Well, let me take you through the three front runners that the LA Times sort of outlined this week.
okay.
So the first one was Jimmy Pitaro, who is the chairman of ESPN, and
Yep.
he basically
Pitaro.
runs sports for Disney. The increased monetization expertise and like the increased importance of that the last couple of years has definitely been his
They did launch the new ESPN app
Bailiwick.
last year. That was a
yeah
big
right
one. Yeah.
and the gambling integration, which has been really important to them, and like figuring out how they're going to integrate gambling in a way that doesn't corrupt the like Mickey Mouse brand has been really important to them, and Pitaro has been really strongly involved with that. That being said, he doesn't really have much experience on the like theme park side, on the entertainment, the non-sports entertainment side. And culturally, the Disney company has been pretty averse to the image that like somebody from sports would lead the company in the past. The second candidate that the LA Times outlined, and really who I would put my money on right now is Josh D'Amaro, who is the chairman of Disney Experiences. So he runs parks, is what he does.
Didn't Chapek come from parks?
Yeah, Chapek ran parks. I think they like picking guys who run parks to run bigger, more important stuff. I think they really see parks as the moneymaker and as like the thing that should be running a lot of the decision making. You know, we've talked in the past about how much money they've put into parks for like Avatar and why that then means that there need to be more Avatar movies. So I think Josh D'Amaro's has a lot of strength on that side.
You definitely want roller coasters dictating creative choices. That's
on the negative side, as we said, Chapek was from parks, and that did not necessarily lead to a lot of TV and film success. So whether or not that is a decision they want to repeat remains to be seen. The final really big candidate is Dana Walden, who is the co-chair of Disney Entertainment right now. She basically, along with Iger, runs the company. She is a really strong creative candidate and has a good understanding of content strategy. She's been integral to like accelerating high quality content for Disney Plus and Hulu. So she's been really involved in the streaming side, but she has less operational experience in running parks, resorts, other large scale, highly complex business operations that Disney gets involved in from time to time. So those are the kind of the strengths and weaknesses of who I would say your three lead contenders are for the new CEO job at Disney.
Is there any possibility or thought being given to the potential of like I'm trying not to sound like someone from The Sopranos, but like a power sharing triumvirate situation?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously the whole board continues to exist, right? And the board really is who makes decisions, not the CEO. We've seen different CEOs have different levels of control over that board. Obviously for Eisner, they just rubber stamped anything Eisner ever wanted to do. For Iger, it's been a little more give and take, especially in the second Iger era. He is really sort of trying to placate that board. I think this next CEO will be very sort of well, I mean, it'll depend. We'll see how much they can get the board on side, right?
And does the board is the one that will ultimately vote and make this decision, or is Iger just going to handpick whoever he wants?
The board will pick the new CEO. Yeah.
Good stuff. Jack, were you able to find anything?
Yes, I did find one. It does seem like Josh is the fan favorite right now.
Tomorrow.
But we also have Dana Walden. Basically everyone Riley mentioned.
They were the three who were outlined in this piece on it recently. So
and fourth place is J.J. Abrams.
Excuse me.
Sam Altman.
I got you. Yeah.
All right. Segueing out of Disney for a moment, Bruno, you and I both have some DC Comics based stories to talk about, but let's stay in movies for a minute and talk about yours.
Sure. So earlier this week, news broke out, starting off with Jeff Snyder and then later confirmed by Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, that Christina Hodson has been named as the mysterious writer that James Gunn has been keeping just hidden away in a closet somewhere.
Yeah.
While writing on the Batman Brave and the Bold script. She is known for writing Bumblebee previously, Birds of Prey. She also wrote The Flash, which was directed by Andy Muschietti, same man who is directing Batman Brave and the Bold. She also co-wrote the shelved the Batgirl filmed that has yet to be seen, if it will ever be seen. James, please leak it. And yeah, that is the main gist of it. Reactions online have been very, very mixed, with some people saying that DC is doomed with this, other people saying that just give it a chance.
Now what's different about this writer? That's what I don't understand. Why is it that when
why would this writer be like maybe eliciting?
She's not a woman of color by chance, is she?
Hold on.
I don't think so, actually. But
we don't have to do like a racial investigation. But yeah,
I think it's mainly due to just the performance of these films that she's been on. But like, it's not very indicative about like the critics' performance of these films been on, because I think critically most of these films have been like average, or if not above average, at least. It
Bumblebee's
just
good.
it just comes to like
Pretty
the
cool,
actual
good.
like box office performance that like is like questionable, and I think that's what people are hinging
I
on
think
when they like bring out the negativity, as well as just like the whole discourse that surrounded the Flash.
which I think was
Right.
overblown. And Birds of Prey came out within
Yeah.
weeks of COVID, I believe. So
One thing that I like, I'm just I have no really expectations based off of this announcement. I'm like happy to see like how it's gonna go. I'm like I don't have like low expectations or high expectations. I think it probably would have served her better if, much like Andy Muschietti, there was a chance somewhere for her to bounce back after the Flash, because Andy Muschietti is bouncing back with it. Welcome to Derry, and now there's a lot of good faith restored back in him. Um, and she, in the meantime, she was offered this script. At least it seems like she was offered a script at the very, very beginning.
Yep.
Turned it down to write Fast X Part 2, and now the Fast X Part 2 is supposedly not happening. She's back here.
Well, let's not say harsh things that we're going to regret later, like Fast X Part 2 isn't happening. But yeah, she's been in Gunn's writer's room since the beginning of the DCU thing, right? Like,
Right.
she was in that initial picture that got tweeted out with Tom King and Crystal Henry and Drew Goddard
Right.
and Jeremy Slater, right? So, like, her involvement in this universe is
Yeah.
like baked in. What I don't understand, and like why this had me raising an eyebrow, was why do you spend so much time looking like you're running around with no goddamn plan for your Batman
Right.
movie?
Well,
Only to be
That is
like,
the
it's
weird
the
thing.
woman who's been in the room the whole time.
well,
She's writing it.
I have a theory about this. If I put on the tinfoil hat for a 2nd,
please.
I think because there's a lot of complaints online that James Gunn is like being spread too thin, and because of that, like all of the quality of all of these things are gonna like go to shit. So I think he's writing the Batman script, or at least he's writing the first draft of the Batman script, and he is getting Christina Hodson to do the punch ups for it, or do like the second draft, and then she is going to get the screenwriter credit. He might get a story by credit, but he probably won't even want that in there to avoid all the online discourse about it.
No, that would be very interesting, because I had to be honest with you, and Deepak, maybe you can check me here, but I had sort of always assumed James Gunn didn't write James Gunn scripts. Like, I wonder if James Gunn is sort of does a final pass guy. You know, like the Superman script, for example. I mean, that DCU writers room is top of mind for me, because I always feel like that Superman script had Tom King all over it. Like, having read so many Tom King comics, and then obviously Supergirl like is a direct Tom King adaptation. But him not being like a credited writer on Superman, my tinfoil hat thing has always been Tom King wrote a lot of Superman. We put James Gunn's name on it, and then Tom King got paid by officially licensing Supergirl for the next movie. But who knows? I mean, I have no idea. I'm not like trying to condemn Gunn's writing. I just remember when he was writing like Slither, and these Superman movies seem a little far afield from that.
I can see what Bruno is saying in that I don't know if Gunn is doing a full draft, but I could see him doing the treatment, or giving like he can do the overarching story and say, this is where I think it should go.
Yeah,
but he's been pretty.
Yeah,
he's been pretty consistent about saying we're not going to greenlight anything officially until we have a script that's good. Where my confusion lies is why Gunn would not want the credit or would not want his name attached to it. Not because I think he's like an attention whore or something, but just because I didn't realize that there was so much negativity around him. I thought Superman was well received. I thought people were pretty happy with the direction that things are going in now. So, I mean,
if there is ever any negativity around James Gunn, it is only ever coming from Riley. I don't know that anybody else is negative.
Not true. So, like, Superman was well received. Peacemaker season 2 was not.
Okay,
that is fair. I do think
both are supposedly written by James Gunn.
Right. I do think there is a little bit of like, he's not, Feige doesn't write all the movies, right? Like, that's not the job that he does the treatments for him. He gives the pitches. He says, here's the general direction this thing needs to go.
He's the George Lucas, right? He finds it in the edit.
Yeah.
Right.
we should give George, I guess the obvious thing, we just found somebody. No, let Filoni run Star Wars. Let's get Lucas in here to run Transformers or something. I just think it would be fun to put Lucas in charge of a new, like, just hire him to be a showrunner on one of these things. Don't let it be Star Wars. He's got to do something.
I would give Lucas 6 episodes to do whatever he wants on Disney Plus.
Release. What's that thing? Star Wars. That TV series that Lucas made. That he just like produced on his own. That nobody ever asked him to make, that he made 40 episodes of. Star Wars Underworld, was that it?
I have no idea what this is.
I don't remember this.
This is some deep George lore that I'm out on a limb on. I need to do my actual story of the week instead, which is that we are getting a long-anticipated Swamp Thing comic in the new DC Black Label titled Swamp Thing 1989. So, to give you guys some backstory on this, I think a lot of folks know that Alan Moore did a Swamp Thing run in the 80s that was fairly successful and brought a lot of attention to that character. When Alan Moore was done writing Swamp Thing, that same run continued under a new creative team of Rick Veitch and Michael Zulli, I believe is how you pronounce their names. And they took over the book and had a long run on it, and it got canceled after Swamp Thing 88. Now, the thing is, Swamp Thing 88 was sort of quite the cliffhanger, and there were 4 books planned to finish out the run. Swamp Thing was being like jettisoned back through time, and he was going to meet Jesus. He was going to see the origin and creation of the character Etrigan the Demon. He was going to go back to the Big Bang. There was all sorts of crazy stuff that was supposedly going to happen in these 4 issues that have been like long rumored and have kind of been like things in certain comic book circles for a long time. I've definitely heard people talk about how Swamp Thing was going to meet Jesus before. But like, and so now DC is publishing them as they were planned with the original art. This really got me excited. You know, I'm a dork. With the original pulp consistency in the paper, how it would have been made in 1989. They're going to have period appropriate ads for like the brands that would have been sponsoring DC Comics at the time in the book. I'm pumped for this thing, man. I can't wait to watch Jesus and Swamp Thing hang out.
That sounds ludicrous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But I do think it's the sort of thing that I want. So this Black Label series is supposed to be for like more mature books. Like folks may remember, I'm trying to see if I have it on my shelf here. Folks may remember the time we all saw Batman's dick in whatever
I do remember that time.
Batman Black Series book was. But I kind of like it more for this, for like incredibly specific.
And less for seeing Batman's dick.
Yeah.
Last year they had Black Label had Batman Full Moon, which was a Batman werewolf story where he becomes a werewolf. But there's a very, very steamy romantic subplot between him and Zatanna.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also just wanted to mention that DC was very clear in the press release around this book that they worked with the family of the creators. I think Zulli had passed away. So they worked with his family to make sure that the art looked the way that he would have liked it to have looked. So yeah, look out for that. They originally announced that at New York Comic Con last year, but it got a public date. It's going to be out in on shelves in comic book shops this April. So you want to make sure that you ask your comic book shop to hold Swamp Thing 1989 #1 for you, so that you can get closure on this 30-year-old comic book story. Jackson?
Yeah. Got a quick one.
We held you for last here because you have our most important of VIPs. Fuck Bob Iger and Batman. You got Yoshi to talk about.
Yeah, well, you know, going into this as of the time of recording was a little strange because I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to be talking about. But Nintendo announced a direct for the Mario Galaxy movie on Sunday, January 25th, which would be the first Nintendo Direct to ever happen on a Sunday, which was a little odd. And it turns out that's probably because it was just a trailer and some, like, fluffy talk around the trailer. But it was a pretty interesting trailer, so I thought we could talk about it briefly.
I know that we don't have to pad for time here, but I did just want to mention, mostly to Bruno and Deepak, that Jack sent me this link this morning to the YouTube broadcast for this and said, I know you asked for this earlier, but my presentation is only just starting now. Taking notes, assuming it'll be more than just like a trailer. And I said, sounds perfect. And then he wrote me back 3 minutes later and said, update, it was a trailer.
It was a trailer. Can confirm. We did get some delightful Miyamoto talk, which Riley and I are on record as saying that we love how Miyamoto talks about this movie, or these movies now.
Yeah. More heads of movie studios. I want Bob Iger putting out statements about the amount of honor that he has in delaying his films.
And the big headline for this trailer is that indeed we got to see Yoshi, which is maybe not surprising after the last movie ended with a post-credits that teased Yoshi. But as Miyamoto says in Japanese after revealing the trailer, he says after we showed the first part of this movie, everybody was like, is Yoshi not going to be in it? Of course Yoshi's in it.
Of course he is.
Along with a number of other exciting characters. I continue to actually be a lot more excited by this movie than the first one, the more that I see from it. Because it does feel like they're willing to put in more of the weird stuff from Mario history.
Well, before we get to more of that weird stuff, and there were a bunch of Easter eggs, there was a bunch of crazy shit in it. We can talk about the Super Scope 6. But can we talk about what an absolute chungus of a unit Yoshi is? I mean, I guess that like proportional to the Mario Brothers and in the games, it makes sense. Obviously, you ride Yoshi, maybe he is like the size of a horse.
Right.
Just seeing him like at eye level with Luigi was really upsetting to me. He is taller than Mario.
Yeah,
and
well, I hear you.
Maybe he is in the games, but I've just never thought about it.
It's interesting that these Illumination movies, like the way they have to kind of redesign these characters, and I thought it was interesting. We learned recently that what everybody thought was the Illumination design for Donkey Kong that Nintendo then took up actually happened in reverse, where they were developing Donkey Kong Bonanza and wanted to redesign him there and showed Illumination the design early so that the movie would look correct after that game came out, which is a little confusing. I don't think they're pulling off anything similar with Yoshi here. He's a little more on model. But he is definitely, I do think we're going, if we don't see Mario riding him, like what the fuck is the point of any of this?
No, definitely gonna get on that.
And I think to get that to work in like this style of 3D, you probably do need to be a little bigger.
I want to see Mario jump off of Yoshi, sending him down a bottomless pit.
Like at the emotional climax of the film, he has to sacrifice. Is it a Yoshi does a noble sacrifice, or is it Mario condemns him to death in a selfish move to save the princess? These are all good and important questions.
I haven't seen the trailer yet, but did they give Yoshi like a voice or anything, or is it just like
no? So that was one of the big questions, right? Is Yoshi going to be voiced by Tom Holland or whatever the fuck? And no, he seems to only say Yoshi. I don't know who's voicing him. I don't recognize him, but I'm curious, I suppose.
Just using the stems from the video game.
I don't think that's correct. He seems to be emoting a performance, like he is trying to communicate. Like there's a scene where Vin.
Speaking of be good, Vin's great at like single word performances.
That's true.
He Grooted his ass through. He'll give you enough Groot in one movie that you don't need to bring him back for 2 and 3. You've got the soundboard.
Well, and Yoshi's not the only one. We also saw in this trailer a scene of Peach fighting Birdo, and along with a number of other enemies like Mowzers and Ninja and other Mario 2 enemies, including Mowzer, who's like a Mario 2 exclusive enemy. So it really seems like that whole segment is like an homage to Mario Brothers 2. And then there's a segment where we see Yoshi talking to like the T-Rex from Mario Odyssey, who's obviously like a more photorealistic proportioned dinosaur. So that's pretty funny. In that scene, we also see that Toad has the baby Mario Brothers, which is again a Yoshi reference to Yoshi's Island, where he had to navigate. He had to escort the baby Mario Brothers back to their family or whatever.
One of my first Mario games, by the way.
Oh, nice. So it definitely seems like like I said, we see Luigi use the frog suit from Mario World. There's a lot of like references to other Mario games and properties, which I think is more of what I would be looking for from these movies personally.
Yeah, it does seem like this one's gonna lean more towards maybe some of the Mythos fandom stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one had a lot of like gameplay fandom references.
Still absolutely insane that Bowser Jr. is being voiced by Benny Safdie.
That one is weird.
Oppenheimer's Benny Safdie.
Indeed.
Smashing Machine's Benny Safdie.
Well, see, he doesn't. No. We won't be putting that on the poster of Super Mario Galaxy. All right, Jack. Anything else before we take a break and then talk Oscars?
No, I don't think so. I think that's.
What's the release date on this bad boy?
Oh, very soon. April 1st.
April.
Only a couple of months. I was kind of surprised they're still announcing stuff about it.
I'm still going to be watching Pit.
I know.
Okay,
we all say thumbs up to Pit season 2, by the way.
Hell yeah.
I was making fun of my wife for watching. I'm like, you work in medicine. Why do you want to watch a show about a hospital? And then I would walk by the room while she's watching it, and every time I would just kind of linger a little bit longer. And then I was like, oh, they really got to get that guy a room ASAP.
All right.
That guy's not going to make it.
When we get back, we're talking Academy Awards, Razzie Awards, all sorts of snubs, flubs, surprises, and probably more the Pit season 2.
Snubs, flubs, and chubs.
And we're back. All right, so the biggest story of the week, I think by far, was the Academy Awards nominations. First of all, great job to us for, I feel like, getting a lot of the predictions correct.
We're pretty good at this.
With Walt last week.
Nailed it.
I do have our predictions in the background here for us to compare to the actual nominations as we go through the list. But we wanted to talk not just Oscar nominations. We're also going to talk about those
Oscars, not a nations.
Those dang old Razzie Awards, who always are out here confounding all of us, and yeah, also who didn't get nominated, who got snubbed, if you will, who was surprised nominated, things like that.
I made a big point to make sure we talked about snubs, being the one who was snubbed from the Oscar prediction talk.
Yeah, right, exactly. You were our Paul Mescal.
You were our Jesse Plemons.
Well, let's get started there, Bruno. You were away, so let's get caught up on your thoughts on the nominations and stuff to kick us off.
Mostly happy for the most part. As Deepak already alluded to, I am a little bit surprised by some of the acting lineups, and I am also surprised by the casting lineup in general, because that is just an award that I think I still need some explanation on how it all works. One thing that I remember a lot of outlets mentioning way back when it was first announced was that, like, pretty much a gimme for the first award was that it was going to go to a superhero movie, because those were pretty much like owed a best casting award for some time at that point. So it was really surprising to see no superhero movies get nominated for best casting this year.
Which one would you have even given it? Like, this has not been a banner year for superhero movies.
That's the thing. That is like my thing about it. But like,
yeah, maybe.
I would give it to Superman, but
I'm sorry. I don't mean to drive over this. Well, but if the question is, gun to my head, I have to pick a superhero movie.
Yeah,
to give
but that's also the best superhero movie of the year.
No, but the answer is the one that didn't have a pre-existing universe attached to it. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, you could also say Fantastic Four kind of didn't.
Yeah, sure. Either. I'm not saying it should be nominated. I don't think that's a hard decision.
Yeah, I agree. Right.
I'm just like I was just saying, like, based off of the conversation when this category was first announced, and like how everyone predicted it was going to go, it was surprising to not see any superhero movies getting nominated, despite like how the year went for superhero movies.
I don't even think they made the short list.
Yeah. In fact, like, I don't think many superhero movies made it to any list.
The only short list was Superman for visual effects, and for some reason Captain America on score. That was it.
Yeah. But aside from that, I like it. I'm really happy with the Best Picture lineup for nominees. Everyone on there.
F1.
Yeah.
Vroom vroom.
It's looking like a really good year. F1 is just like, it's the crowd pleasing nomination. I was explaining.
You don't think Begonia is the crowd pleaser?
I was explaining this to my friend. Like F1 is going to get nominated, just like how last year it was fucking. What was it last year? Was last year Barbie or was
The Brutalist?
Barbie?
No, Barbie was the Oppenheimer year.
The crowd pleaser, the brutalist. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
2024 Best Picture nomination. I can give you the nominees, and you can tell me which one you think was the
Conclave.
crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Amelia Perez, A Complete Unknown, Conclave,
Definitely.
Wicked.
Oh, duh.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, Wicked. So Wicked was before.
People are screaming
and then
at our
before that, it was
YouTube
Barbie. Before that, it was Avatar: Way of Water. So like the idea is
And Top
that
Gun.
if it wouldn't have been F1 and Top Gun. So if it wouldn't have been F1 this year by the same director of Top Gun, it would be either Avatar 3 or Wicked for Good, which was not as good as people hoped it would be.
And if we listen,
Sinners.
we can shit on
Sinners is not a
F1
crowd
being
pleaser.
nominated
Sinners
for Best
is a
Picture.
surprise hit.
We can bash F1 all we want for being nominated for Best Picture. It is Kaczynski, who the Academy loves,
Right.
Bruckheimer, and it was just produced by Apple, who just got a surprise Best Picture win for the Coda, right? So
I'm not shitting on it. I'm saying like every year we do need to have one of these, and like
there
I'm
is one
happy
of
with
these,
it
and
being
this one
F1.
makes sense.
So
it has a lot of technical achievement. My mother-in-law was over here. She came for a show. We went downtown to see Taskmaster live in DC, and because it was a late show, she stayed at our place
Weird
afterwards.
character to make a musical out of.
Yeah, right. He kept adapting to other people's dance maneuvers.
Yeah.
Anyway, afterwards, we were. It was the next day, and I was sort of working from home, and I told her to just feel free to hang out and not feel like she had to get going at any point. And she came to me and asked if I could put on F1 because she had heard it was good and she wanted to watch it. Like, there is sort of a mainstream appeal for people who aren't like getting to every Yorgos Lanthimos movie to F1. Like, it is penetrating.
I think we talked about it
from
with Walt.
the sport as well.
I think we talked about it with Walt, that it's like like you say, the old-fashioned crowd pleaser. Bruckheimer's been around since the 80s and 90s making these kinds of movies. So it appeals to that older voting bloc. And of the three movies that we just talked about potentially taking that crowd pleaser spot, if it's between F1, Avatar, and Wicked, which I have not seen, but I could comfortably guess would be my third out of three of those,
right?
I would take F1 out of those three.
By the way, we did great on picture. We only missed one.
Was it
Weapons?
One?
We had Weapons, and it was
instead of Train Dreams.
Yeah. We got Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, F1, Begonia, Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Simmons, one battle after another.
I think on director we missed a couple because I think we all had Del Toro getting in there, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Which
some
I'm
of the
fine
other
with.
high level ones we didn't do as great with on our predictions. Director, as you say, we had Kugler, we had PTA, we had Zhao, but then we had Joachim Trier and Guillermo del Toro. Oh, we had Joachim Trier. We just didn't have Del Toro, where I think I wasn't confident enough to put in Josh Safdie. You guys might have told me to. And I was
there,
I think we all had
Josh Safdie on the list.
I think we all had Panahi for it was an accident, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, maybe that was part of it as well. But I mean, in general, so I guess what I'm saying is, by and large, a lot of the high level stuff I think went the way we expected it to.
Right.
Kate Hudson got in instead of Chase Infinity. Ethan Hawke got in instead of Jesse Plemons. But
which is an interesting wrinkle, by the way, because I think Hawke has a real chance to upset. I think Hawke has the overdue narrative, and he has won a lot of precursors.
It's really interesting. So like I was looking at the precursors this morning. Leading the precursors is Timothée Chalamet. In second place is Michael B. Jordan. But one thing that I found interesting is that this morning I found just a random Reddit post where the post in general was like already framing the front runners for Best Actor as Leo and Chalamet, and like which of these two do you think is going to win? And all of the comments was just like a wide spread of just like any of the other nominees.
Right. I think that goes to how strong a year it was. And the most frustrating thing is that I had some strong opinions about who should get nominated, but I'm looking at all four of the acting categories. And I mean, other than weirdly maybe DiCaprio, who I was not the biggest fan of in that movie, all the acting nominees, it's hard to pick the one and be like, oh, you definitely shouldn't be there. It should have been someone else.
So just for reference, I've pulled up the precursors ranking that I have here. Chalamet has 18. Michael B. Jordan has 17. Ethan Hawke has 8. DiCaprio has 7. And then Wagner Moda has 4.
Including Cannes, by the way, he has, which is a big one.
Yeah.
Are there any sort of like farther down the list ones we wanted to talk about? Any, in the animated category, I think all the movies we talked about basically came up the way that we had expected. In international feature, we already mentioned earlier that uh, we didn't see No Other Choice, but we did get Secret Agent, Just an
Right.
Accident, Sentimental Value, Surat, and voice of Hind
Hindrij.
Rajab. I was
Visual
not.
effects is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
weird
go for
one.
it.
Visual effects is a weird one. It almost doesn't even matter to talk about it because we know it's going to Avatar. But over the last 10 to 15 years, it's become a movie or a category rather, where it feels like visual effects have sort of, in some ways, peaked. So you're not necessarily awarding the technical proficiency. You're awarding kind of which movie you liked the most or which movie used it the smartest. That's when we end up with like Ex Machina winning, First Man winning, those kinds of movies.
It's a real,
and it's weird to see it.
Effects.
It's weird to see like The Lost Bus, which apparently the Academy seems to really like. Jurassic World Rebirth getting in over something like Superman or some of the other shortlisted nominees is a strange one. And not that the visual effects are bad, it's just that the movie wasn't very good, and I'm surprised that the industry seems to have enjoyed it to some extent.
And I would argue that there were like better visual effects in other movies than
there were. Undoubtedly there
were.
were. I'm surprised Fantastic Four didn't get in. It didn't even get shortlisted.
Yeah, no, that was very surprising. I'm surprised it didn't even get shortlisted for production design. I'll mention
it got nominated by the production or the Art Directors Guild, but yeah, the Academy seems to have shown it the cold shoulder, and it doesn't even have the Nosferatu excuse from a year ago where like it just didn't get finished in time for them to watch it. Like it's been out since July.
It seems like outside of shortlists, I think all like the superhero like area in general got the cold shoulder from the Academy.
It wasn't a good year. It wasn't a good year.
Yeah.
Speaking of wasn't a good year, we got Razzie nominations that I know we were somewhat interested to talk about. I don't know that the Razzies are always the best barometer of culture, but I think we can talk we can call out any problematic stuff we see. I thought their worst picture lineup was surprisingly strong. I hope the Russo brothers are able to take home the prize for Electric State. But other nominees included Hurry Up Tomorrow, the Weekend movie, the Snow White live-action remake, the frankly abysmal Star Trek Section 31, and then, of course, the Amazon War of the Worlds.
It's going to go to War of the Worlds.
It's got to be the Ice Cube movie. Or politically, they're going to give it to Snow White because they don't like Gal Gadot.
Well, that's the thing. Listen, the Razzies are historically a group of dweebs that hates women, and I was not at all surprised to see them jump on Snow White as sort of their classic punching bag, but I do think they put it up against some really strong competition.
I mean, like they at least didn't put Snow White in the worst actress lineup.
I was gonna say, yeah, worst actress does not have her in it, so that's
no,
even worst supporting actress.
She's not the problem with the movie.
All the seven dwarves got nominated though.
That would be so fucking funny if they did that.
I'm sorry, Jack.
Yes, let's talk about the screen combo category because this is hilarious.
Worst supporting actor, all seven artificial dwarves, Snow White 2025.
Excellent.
Nominee number one.
I wanted them individual. I want worst supporting actor.
Oh, you want
one Dopey, two. Yeah.
No, it's all seven dwarves: Nick Cage, Stephen Dwarf, Greg Kinnear, and Sylvester Stallone.
I haven't heard of half these movies. Off the Grid, Alarum.
Well, it's because they're bad.
Well, that's the thing. This is sort
I mean,
of.
I'm not a prude. I'll watch some bad movies.
No, but this is my problem with the Razzies is I do feel like we sort of end up splitting between movies nobody's ever heard of and like the biggest blockbusters in the world that just ended up disappointing. Right. And I'm sort of like, these are two different things. Like, I can't have Tron Ares up next to Alarium or whatever, right? This Eastwood movie. Like, we've got, that's
but again,
where
that's the Jared Leto
shifts.
of it all. I think that's the only Tron Ares nomination is specifically for Jared Leto.
And he does make it work. I
didn't know Star Trek was a movie. I thought that was a TV show they did. Section 31.
It was a TV movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It is tough. Section 31 is a Star Trek.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, we should have hopped on to talk about it.
Oh, we should have done a podcast about it.
Do it now.
Star Trek Discovery was an alternate timeline Star Trek show where there was a Romulan war And in the first season especially, it sort of had the problem that the Flash TV show had, where like they honed in on this would be a really good idea for a Star Trek show, and then they like burned all their shit in the first season. So in the first season, you find out that a lot of like one character in particular is from the captain, in fact, is from the mirror universe, like which is
and
the
that's
Star
Michelle
Trek evil
Yeoh.
dark universe, and that's the Michelle Yeoh character.
Yeah.
And so Section 31 was sort of like trying to continue that story of the Michelle Yeoh character. But it was just not fertile ground, I don't think, to begin with. And there's this whole other problem. You can dig back in the Nerd It Here First archives if you want to hear I'm trying to look around to see if I have the book easily accessible to me. I don't. But I had a really great conversation with a writer whose name's escaping me right now. But
Adam Kotzko.
Thank you, Bruno. Adam Kotzko and I talked about Star Trek, and we specifically talked about this problem that a lot of modern Star Trek has, where it's become all about like terrorists and wars, which is like not what Star Trek was originally about at all.
But exploration, right?
Yeah, right. And like non-violence specifically. Anyway, Section 31 is all about like terrorism. So it sucks.
That's good.
Late Star Trek, pick it up.
I was just looking at last year's winners to give us some sort of like a barometer of what we could possibly expect for this year. And last year there was an overwhelmingly awful superhero movie that really cleaned up by the name of Madam Web, which won worst picture. Dakota Johnson won worst actress. It won worst screenplay. There was also another unpopular superhero movie that I thought was actually not terrible, but people hated it. It was Joker 2. It won worst screen combo and worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Screen legend Francis Ford Coppola did win worst director for Megalopolis.
Well deserved. I mean,
Jerry
just like
Seinfeld won best or worst actor rather for the Pop-Tart movie.
I do think that
does that make Joaquin Phoenix the first to win an Oscar and a Razzie for the same
role? Almost definitely.
Yeah.
War of the Worlds, I think, has the potential to be this year's Madam Web.
Yeah,
I think so. It could be that or Snow White, because I am seeing Snow White sort of being shit on in a lot of these categories. Like, if you look at worst screenplay, Snow White is listed as screenplay by Aaron Cressida Wilson and a bunch of others too numerous to mention.
Yeah. They are tied for the most nominations at 6. War of the Worlds, I wonder if there's a mitigating circumstance because it was a COVID shoot. I know that doesn't excuse that it's apparently terrible, but I would imagine Snow White, because of just how big of a movie it was with Disney and all the controversy behind it, and I would imagine that probably takes it.
I mean, the Ice Cube and his Zoom camera nomination in worst screen combo, I do think it's a bit of editorialization. Just people doing work to try and get more nominations. We need this level of hustle on the Oscar side of it. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked yet about how Sinners set the record for most nominations ever, but why aren't, Walt explained to us the politics about how, like, for example, Netflix stopped running Jay Kelly when it became clear that Frankenstein was really their Oscar frontrunner. So they didn't have to deal with like the confused hurt feelings of having to deal with multiple movies up for the same award.
Pour one out for Adam Sandler, guys.
What if in fact that's the opposite of what we should be doing? And these producers need to start getting real like Razzie with their potential award. Just get me in as many awards as possible. Even if I don't have an on-screen partner, get me in best cameo or best combo. No matter what, get me in best cameo too. All of it. I want every award I can get.
I feel like we live in an ecosystem now where if you were to put that on like the poster as you're scrolling through HBO Max and say like a Razzie nominee, there would be enough people curious enough to check out the first 2 or 3 minutes to get you the view, whatever the Netflix metric is, right? Like it's 17 seconds and it counts. Yeah.
Listen, the Golden Raspberry Awards have a legacy.
They're a cultural institution.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll be on my birthday this year, so check in for who receives worst film on March 14th,
a lot of people with that birthday.
Apparently it's a terrible day that's going to get me killed by long legs or whatever.
Yeah, I was about to make a long leg joke.
Or when we get back, the end of the show.
Oh.
I don't know how we end the show now because we used to do the other thing.
Thanks for listening, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I still have to do the credits. Maybe this is all in it.
This is it.
We should do plugs. Hey, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate you being here. This is the end of the show. Make sure you follow along with us on social media at Nerdigo Media. KB is at Sundance like presently. It's happening right now, and you don't want to miss her review of new movies. Her probably on this show in the next couple of weeks, letting us know what she saw, what she liked, what she didn't like. Probably a separate posts on social and on the website with dispatches from Sundance Film Festival. Check in with all of that. Nerdigo.com, at Nerdigo Media on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. YouTube.com/Nerdigo Media, at Nerdigo Media, if you're not into the whole RURL thing. Yeah, we have a lot of other great stuff coming up too. Jack and I are gabbing about Night of the Seven Kingdoms. One's so big, one's so little. If you love the big guy, little guy dynamic, you'll love Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
They've got the biggest and littlest guy I've ever seen.
I still got to get started on that.
Well, it's only episode 2 tonight, so this is the right time.
Yeah, it's quick, breezy, 30 minutes. You could watch both these episodes in the time it takes you to watch one normal Game of Thrones.
30 minutes? Okay.
That's our new measure of time. It was Endgame, and now it's
quick, breezy. It's a summer beach read.
Yeah, Feedback Endgames is a measurement of money.
I see.
We also have the Miami Vice. Speaking of measurements of money, for the paywall amongst you, Miami Vice coming soon. Probably going to debut in February. I would think the first week of February. I think we'll have all 3 episodes recorded there, and then it'll be weekly after that. So get ready. And then Bruno, we're talking Transformers and G.I. Joes soon here. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I got to get caught up on those comics, but then we'll be talking about them. Until then, I already listed off all the places, but it's Nerdigo Media. It's just type that in, or nerdigo.com and save yourself some letters. Thank you to Purple Planet for our music. Thank you to Lindsay Beharry for our art, logo and artwork. We don't really have to thank Lindsay, but we can. I appreciate that she did it. Thank you to you for checking out the show. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, don't forget to tune in next week to hear.